love song about.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Marriage
Matters.
So, as we say, this is a show that we talk about marriage matters because
marriage matters.
Yep. So, another week, another episode. So
Yep.
great. So glad to be here with my beautiful, lovely, sexy, kind, gentle, meek, humble wife.
Oh, thank you, husband.
All those things and more. So, how you doing today?
Doing great. Doing good. Doing good.
Ready to get into today's episode?
Absolutely.
So, as always, we wanted to say thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. We are just so blown away by the support, the love support that you guys are giving to us. And, our goal is just to impact marriage, to change, the culture around marriage. We're declaring a war on divorce.
War on divorce.
No more divorce.
No more divorce.
No more. We want to help cultivate healthy marriages, because healthy marriages produce healthy families. Healthy families produce healthy children. And we're not talking about just physically healthy. We're talking about emotionally and spiritually and mentally healthy marriages, families, and children. Because ultimately, those children will change the world.
Yes.
All right. So that's the goal of Marriage Matters. And as always, we in doing that, we want to recommend things that are going to help you to enhance and maybe make better what you're doing already. So today's recommendation is a book by Dr. Tony Evans. And it's Prayers for Victory in Your Marriage.
Yes, phenomenal.
By Dr. Tony Evans. And what we're going to do today is, this is a great book. But what we want to do is we want to give this copy away. So you got that? You're going to hold it right there? So we're going to give it away. So here's what we want you to do. If you want to, we're going to select someone to send this book to, free of charge.
Free of charge.
Don't even have to pay shipping. We're gonna take care of shipping for you. All right. So here's what we want you to do. If you've already done some of these things, maybe you don't have to do a couple of these things, but you have to make sure that you're following us on Facebook. Following us on Instagram, and that's at Marriage Matters 0526 on Facebook and Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube page.
3.
Leave a comment on this video.
4.
And share this video.
5.
Is that 5 things?
That is 5 things.
Okay, yeah.
And I believe that this is well worth those 5 things that you do to get this phenomenal book for completely free of charge to you.
Yep.
If you have never heard any of Pastor Tony Evans' teachings, you need to look him up on YouTube.
Yep.
Just phenomenal teacher, phenomenal writer, and this would be a blessing to you and your spouse.
Yep. So let me say those again. Follow us on Facebook.
1.
Follow us on Instagram.
2.
Subscribe to us on YouTube.
3.
Comment on this video.
4.
Share this video.
5.
If you do all 5 of those things, we're going to select one person that does all 5 of those. We're going to send this to you for you and your spouse to enjoy.
All yours.
Yep. For you and your spouse to enjoy. And I mean, hey, even if you're single, you believe in God for a spouse,
Yes,
we'll
absolutely.
still send it to you.
Yep.
So today's topic, we're going to talk about realistic expectations.
Ooh-wee.
Realistic expectations.
Yeah. That's a big topic. That's a big topic. And I say it's a big topic because it's so often that we can talk to a couple, we can talk to, other people just living our day-to-day lives with family and friends. People have a lot of expectations of you. A lot of expectations of you. And they're not always realistic, as in, not that you can never do them, but maybe their time, when they expect them done, how they expect them done, all of these. Now, I'm not talking about in your workplace. I mean, sometimes those may be some unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, you need to take that up with your
take
manager.
that up with your employer. But I'm just saying, people have expectations of you that a lot of times may not have been communicated to you, or they're communicated in a way that it's just expected. I guess that's the only word to use for it. Where a lot is being asked of you, and you may not even, desire or be capable to meet those things. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. So let me ask you this. So think back, over 18 years ago, when, we were engaged, going into marriage.
I was cute. Okay, go ahead.
Huh? What you said? You was cute.
I was cute.
You still cute.
Anyhow, that was way off the point.
So, so we just think back to those. What were some of those What are some of the expectations? And then this kind of put you on the spot. But what are some of the expectations you had going into the marriage? Then once you got into the marriage, was like those were unrealistic.
Wow. I don't know why or how. I expected that life would kind of be like a vacation all the time. That, I knew we were both working and had things going on and, serving and all of that, but, that everything would just be great all the time, and we wouldn't have, I know, unrealistic expectations, right? The challenges and things that we've seen across 18 years, many of those, probably all of those challenges, most of them, especially the major ones, I never saw coming. I never expected some of the challenges that we went through for us to go through. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Because, I think that's one of the things that, especially going into marriage, and that's why, we do premarital counseling, and that's one of the things we really tried to, thank you for correcting me, premarital coaching. One of the things we really try to paint the picture of is, what are your expectations? Because I think so many times when we go into marriage, I have expectations, you have expectations, but those expectations may not always line up.
Right.
And in my mind, I'm just expecting that, my wife's going to stay at home and she's not going to work. And in her mind, she's like, no, I like my career. I love my career. I want to grow in my career. I don't want to stay at home. I want to work.
Or have the option.
Or maybe the other way,
To have the option to stay home if that's what I want to do.
Yeah, or you may be expecting she's going to work, and then she may be expecting, oh no, I want to be a stay at home. And we know, a couple like that where she was like, I'm not working. My mom didn't work, so I'm not going to work. So that was, and they both did make that known going into the marriage.
Right.
So I think that was a point of contention.
Right.
For them. So setting first of all, just setting expectations, period, before going into marriage, or even now that you're in marriage, sitting down and setting those expectations. And when you set those expectations, making sure that those expectations are realistic.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
An unrealistic expectation.
Oh, when I expected you to bring me flowers and candy every week without telling you that.
Is that unrealistic?
I believe that's unrealistic.
Okay.
I mean, to expect that on a weekly basis, and I never communicated to you that was a desire of mine. Okay. And I expect that of you. And some guys may do that because they're just naturally a romantic person, but not all men are that way. Yeah.
And I think part of the unrealistic part is a lot of times we get our ideas and our ideals, or I guess our ideas about what marriage is supposed to look like. We get it from TV. We get it from,
romantic movies.
Here's a great one is, sex. An unrealistic expectation, to expect what you see on TV to translate to
your normal,
what you do in the bedroom. And
doesn't quite work out.
That's not realistic.
Right.
That's scripted.
Right.
Right. and we listen to a lot. A podcast we listen to a lot is The Love Hour with Kev and Melissa Fredericks. And, you know, that's one of the things that they were talking about the other day, how, and Melissa was saying that, the wife was saying that that's so unrealistic, and often it's written from a man's perspective.
Right.
And so when and me as a man, I'm expecting my wife to perform that way in the bedroom. That's not reality.
No.
You got what I'm saying? So, you know, that's another unrealistic expectation. You know, like you know, that we're gonna just live life, or, you know, you're gonna be this way. You're gonna bring flowers home every day. You know, where are those expectations coming from? So how do we combat, or how do we address the issue of unrealistic expectations?
Well, I think one of the things is, and you hit it on a previous episode, and it's been kind of reoccurring in our conversation, is communication. And give me your 4. Is it the clear?
Honest. Open,
honest, often about everything.
About
communication. And so communication, I think, is key for eliminating unrealistic expectations. And so, one, I can't expect you to know what I'm thinking. I can't expect you to know how I feel about a matter unless I am communicating it with you. And I have to do that openly. I have to do that honestly. I have to do that often. And I have to do that about everything as it relates to this marriage and our family.
Yeah. And also another thing that I always think about is, and I've said this before, is the comparing thing. You know, it's like we set our expectations based on what we see, not only on TV, but like on social media. You know, and I always say that, you know, social media, I always say it's like it's like an iceberg. You know, it only shows you 10% of the total. Right. And so, you know, if that's what you're saying, so that could be good or bad. So it could be, you know, a couple has a phenomenal life together, and there's posting on Facebook, or even this. You see these episodes, and you're like, oh, you know, Glenn and Tanya, they seem like they got it all. Well, number one, we don't. Right. But number two is, what you don't see is the other 90%. In other words, it takes work.
Yes, that's exactly what
and if you're not willing to put the work in, I mean, it's great to have these expectations up here, but if you're not willing to do what it takes to reach that, then those expectations for you are unrealistic. Yes. You know, it's kind of like, you know, if I walked outside and I saw my neighbor's grass, you know, it's always green, it's manicured, it's you know, either number one, he's putting in some time, he's fertilizing, or he's paying somebody to do that. In other words, it cost him something. Yes. It cost him something, either sweat equity or financial, or some coins, right? It cost him something to produce that. And so an unrealistic thing is you want, unrealistic expectation is that you want to live this life, but you're not willing to put in the work to what it gets there, to what it takes to get there. Or, you know, another thing when it comes to social media is, you know, you only see the 10%, and you don't see all the other chaos that's going on. You know, you don't see what it, you know, I always say, you know, it's a picture of me and Bay, you know. Let's do a picture. I don't do, that was our selfie, okay? I don't do selfies well. I try. And you know what? I always wonder, I look at the pictures of these selfies, I'm like, how do they get, it's like everybody's selfies look so, it's like perfect, and
it's a filter, honey.
I know it's a filter, but it's also it's staged. Yeah. Is what I'm trying to say. Absolutely.
And they've taken it.
And I'm thinking, you know, because again, like I said, I'm that person. I always said I'm just me, and I don't like to stage stuff. You know, so it's sometimes it's difficult for me to do that. And I'm thinking, I didn't think that people were doing that on social media. I thought they were just capturing these candid moments. And I'm like, man, how do they get all these great, you know,
these great shots,
yeah,
great pictures.
But it's like that's all staged.
Yeah.
And so my point is you can't base your expectations on that, because again, that's not based in reality.
No, not at all.
That's not based in reality.
And you said something earlier. You said it earlier about the effort or the work that we have to put in. You know, when I think about, because we live in such a social media or digital age, and we see quote unquote people's successes, other people's successes. I mean, across the world, we can see other people's successes through social media, and then we can begin to desire that level of success. And oh man, they just came out of nowhere. Well, no one came out of nowhere. No one, you know, that success was never overnight. They've had to work on whatever their process is. They've had to work for most of the time years, you know, at the least months, to get to the level of success that we see. And so the same thing in marriage. We were not where we are today 18 years ago. We had never been married before. We've only seen our parents' marriages. We've seen other people around us, their marriages. We've watched a lot of television and seen marriages there. So we've only had ideas of what marriage was. And I don't know about you, but no one ever sat me down prior to us being engaged and said, you know, this is what you can expect when you get married. Nope. Or this is what you need to know before you get married. Now, once we were engaged, of course, we got, you know, premarital counseling. But prior to that, there was nothing, you know. And so when we came into this, it's a process of learning more of me, learning more of you, staying close to the Father, and allowing Him to kind of help us through these 18 years of all of the things that can occur in a life together throughout this time.
Yeah. So, you know, it's unfair for my spouse, for me to put, you know, those unrealistic expectations. And so that's, like Tanya said, that's why it's so important for us to sit down and discuss and have those conversations about, you know, what's expected of me, so that way, you know, my spouse can then put, you know, have input in on, you know, are those attainable? Right. You know, for us. Right. Or it may be that, you know, it may be attainable, but it's going to take some time to get there. To get there. And, you know, we have to be okay with that. We have to be okay.
We have to give each other room to grow.
Yeah. And like I said, I hate to keep going back, but, you know, the comparing thing, you know, and you just have to know that, you know, just because everything is not always, you know, what it seems.
Exactly.
I'll just say it that way. Everything is not always what it seems. Right. Yep. So just, you know, in your marriage relationship, in your relationships, you know, sit down with each other and begin to express those expectations, you know, and make sure that that the expectations that you're setting and you're placing on your spouse are things that they can attain, or things that they can live up to. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and not just assume all the time, like you were saying, that, you know, they know, or they know what to expect. You know, I always say this, tell couples this, that, you know, it's hard to hit a target when you can't see it, or you don't even know what it is. So, you know, make sure that, you know, you're sharing, you know, what you expect from your spouse and of your spouse, and allow your spouse to have input on that. And, you know, is that something that I can do? Right. You know,
right. Am I willing to work on this?
Yeah.
If it's something that I can't do right now.
Yeah, and leave room for that. Leave room in your expectations to grow, and be honest. You know, you can say something like, you know, well, you know what, I don't know if I could do that, you know, every day, but, you know, maybe we can, you know, try and doing that, you know, maybe once a week, or maybe I can grow into that, or, you know, I'm not comfortable with doing that right now. But, you know, I'll definitely work on it. At least that way, at least your spouse is aware of where each of you are. Right. And then that way you can grow together and not have all these unrealistic expectations on your spouse.
Right. And you're communicating your need to your spouse without expecting them to meet that need blindly.
Yep.
So.
Okay. Anything else you want to say about that?
No, sir. It was good.
All right, cool. So, in wrapping up, As always, we want to remind you, if you want to get in contact with us, you can always reach us at info@marriagematterstous.com, info@marriagematterstous.com. That's TOUS to us.com. Send us your questions, show topics, whatever you want to ask or suggest for a show topic. Remember, you will remain anonymous unless otherwise specified in your email. Also, remember, we're giving away a copy of Prayers for Victorious Marriage. Is that what it says? Prayers for Victory in Your Marriage. I apologize, Dr. Tony Evans.
Title on the back.
Yeah, but anyway, we're going to get this away. And all you got to do to qualify to be selected to win this free book is follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, that's @MarriageMatters0526. Subscribe to the YouTube page, comment on this video, and share this video. And we're going to pick someone to win this free copy. Absolutely free. You don't have to pay shipping.
No
We're going to send it to you. Or if you're local, we may just hand deliver it to you.
Exactly. Yes.
Yep. So anyway, that's all we have for you today. Remember, set expectations together and set expectations that your spouse can live up to and grow into.
Yes.
All right. So thank you for joining us today
guys.
for Marriage Matters. And remember, your marriage matters.